and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be reviewing the Axminster Craft 125 belt and disc sander. Now in my opinion this is an extremely versatile tool and one that I think most woodworkers should own in their shop. Let's have a look at it now. So there's three tools that are going to make setting up your belt and disc sander a lot easier, and they are an engineer's square, some Allen keys and a Phillips head screwdriver. Now all of these tools are fairly easy to buy. You can get them off Amazon, Axminster or pretty much any reputable tool company. So this engineer's square is really useful for making sure that your tables are at 90 degrees relative to the sanding belt and disc, screwdriver for taking off the casing in order to change the belt, and for some reason you also need Allen keys as well to change the belt, which is one of the things I particularly dislike about this sander and one that we're going to talk about a lot more in a minute. Now, the belt and disc sander takes these belts. These are the Hermes RB377 belts, and they come in a variety of grits, ranging from 60 all the way up to 150. You can of course buy other grits, but these are the actual ones that are made by Axminster, and I particularly like these. Now I'm going to show you one of the things I particularly dislike about the sander, and that is changing the belt on this. It's a pain to do. You require Allen keys and a Phillips screwdriver. I don't know why they didn't just use one of the options, which could have been a Phillips screw or a hex bolt. So we're now going to change the belt on this. So firstly you take off this bolt. Fairly simple to do. Then you take off these screws. And then you've got to take off this bit. Now this is the bit I don't like. Now if I spin the sand around you'll be able to see what I mean here. So, we now require a hex bolt, which is incredibly annoying when this uses a screw and then you need a hex bolt as well. Now, I don't understand why they chose to do this. It's incredibly annoying if I'm being honest, because you've got to find which fits and it's just a pain. Let's hope this one fits. So there you go. So I found the one that fits, so we're just going to take this off. So you can see we've got 3 screws here. Now you need to remove all of these in order to access the belt change. So now with the screws removed, this piece of metal can come out. So then this wiggles out and you can release the tension here and then this will slide out. And as you can see, this is well past its use by date, so that can go somewhere over there. So now we're going to change it. So as I spoke about earlier about how you can use this to release the tension, yes you can, but this is actually for the tracking left or right of the belt. So if you really want to release the tension, you've got to pull this quite hard, as you can see, and hopefully if you look in that wheel you can see it's moving back and forth. So we're now going to put the new belt on. Now there's a million different ways to put a belt on. This is how I like to do it. First, line it up with the slot, similar to how you would do a bandsaw blade. Then I line it up with the bottom wheel, then I come up here to the top. Now once I've done that, I then push rather hard on this and just slide it on. So if I do that and spin it, you can see this belt just doesn't track properly. So if you want to adjust the tracking, that's what this wheel's here for. So you can just keep spinning the belt and adjust the tracking. And if you come to the front, you'll be able to see, you should get it, so it's pretty much central to this piece of metal down here. So maybe a bit more to the right. But for me, I'm happy with that. So now I've got this changed and the tension all adjusted, this can go back on. So then you've got to try and get this all on. So as I said, you've got to use Allen key to do this and just turn this on. So it's up to you how tight you want to go. Some people leave this casing off and I can totally understand why, although then if your tab belt snap you don't have much of a safety feature. So we're now going to put the final screw on. And now we're going to talk about the things I actually love about this belt and disc sander. So I've started off by picking all the flaws in it and the things I particularly hate about it. And to be honest, for a sander at this price point, isn't a lot. I don't particularly like the belt change and that's about it. Apart from that, I think it's a fantastic sander. And to be honest, I would say I only change the belt every 2, maybe 3 months. So for me, at this price point, it's a no-brainer. So with the table removed, you simply slide it back on and put it down there. Now, one thing that I think is fantastic about this is this. You can adjust it so it's at 45 degrees relative to the belt. And this is so useful. I love this feature because if I've got a piece of scrap, for example, and I want to get this at a 45 degree angle, maybe I'm doing a mitre jointed box, You can get this up here. Obviously there would be a mitre here, I'm not going to cut one. And you could just sand this until it's perfectly at 45 degrees. And this is really accurate, I found. Especially when I'm gluing up mitres, I found that's a really good feature of it. So as you can see at the top, we're pretty much against the belt, and at the bottom there's this massive gap. Now if I just slowly start to do this, we can get it closer. Right, as you can see, engineer square is now perfectly aligned with the belt. Now, clearly if I put any pressure on this, this is just going to fall over. So now here's where this little Allen key is really helpful. Line it up in the bolt, start tightening. Okay, maybe a bit more. And now you can see, if you look at here, if you look at the engineer square, we're now turning it away from this. So we just want to bring that back in. Just unwind until, so, there you go. I'm not level particularly. So, now, just wind it in. So that might just be it. Maybe a tiny bit more. Yep, and look at that. That is perfectly parallel to the belt. Now, we're going to have a quick talk about the disc here. Now, to be honest, there's nothing I actually dislike about this. My only dislike with the whole sander is the way that the belt is attached with the bolts and the screws. Now, this is something else I really like. I love these quick release functions here. So these quick clamps here are fantastic for this sander, and if I spin this one round you can hopefully see this one. Now I've loosened it off a bit already, and you can just simply use this quick release function and you just pull this out and you can turn it. Now there's a quicker way of doing this. Just take this little bolt out here. This is if you want to take the whole table off. Say you wanted to clean the sander or something, take that little screw out, that comes out, then you can just turn this by hand. And then same on the other side. This one's a bit quicker because it hasn't got the vacuum part in the way. Just simply spin it out, and then that just wiggles out. It's got these two lugs that keep it in place, which I really like. And then you can see the whole sanding assembly. So these are what I use on the sander, and if I take one out, you can see they're self-adhesive, so if I peel this off, and you can see now sticky back, and that can be stuck onto the metal plate of this sander. Now, one thing that more expensive sanders come with is a Velcro option or something like that, and on this one, this is a adhesive one. So to get this off, just use a bit of a hot air gun and you can just peel this away. Now I haven't stuck that on particularly well because I didn't use a hot air gun, but just if you put a hot air gun here, this peels away really easily, which I did do to remove the old one, but then I forgot to use the hot air gun to help stick this on. But some people might not like the adhesive function. Originally I thought it was a bit weird, but actually I've come to really like it because it makes it a lot easier, and they're also a lot cheaper than the Velcro backed ones. So you simply peel that off, peel the old one off, stick it on. Simple as that. Really easy, quick and good to do. If you want to connect a Henry Hoover to it, you can. For example, you might have to make an adapter, but what I tend to do is just stick that in there like so, and that sucks all of the dust out. So yes, it's got a bit of looseness to it, but as you can see, it's in there fine, and that sucks out 85% of the dust, I would say. And there's a bit of airborne particulates, but I wear a powered respirator cap anyway. But yeah, I think dust extraction for a machine of this price point and size is incredibly versatile, and I really like the dust extraction. Now to refit this, 2 metal lugs, line them up against these bracket points here. Now here you can see I've got it at 90 degrees or at 45, and once again line up against the disc, so that's, as you look across the disc, at a perfect 90 degrees, or at least it should be. Yep. So now I start by tightening them up together. So if we just come from a side angle, you'll be able to see in here that we're pretty much at a perfect 90 degrees. There we go. So I'm really happy with that. That's good enough for me. So I'm now going to sand a 45 degree on this. Now usually you would cut your 45 degree mitre first and then sand, but I'm going to show you how versatile this sander truly is. I've got it set at the 45 degree, just using these little lugs here and tightening them and loosening them, sorry about that, So I'm now going to show you a mitre on this. So you can use this with this mitre sliding fence thing as well. I tend not to use this as I don't really need to use that because I tend to just be doing things like this, or I'm usually doing curves and things, but I've used it once or twice and it's incredibly versatile, as I just did there, sliding this along here like that, and then I can get a nice 45 degree. And if you look here, you can see that's a really crisp 45 degree mitre joint. And usually you would cut that and then you can clean up the face of it. You wouldn't usually do the whole thing on a 120 grit disc, but of course you can if you really need. This is only a thin bit of something like, I don't know, 12mm oak, something like that. But yeah, really versatile. And then I'm going to show you another feature where you can actually tilt this. As I said, I over tighten everything. So let's say I want, I don't know, what do we want, 30 degrees maybe? Let's let's go, 30 is a bit excessive. Let's say I want a 60 degree angle. You can lock it in on this function here. I'm just going to go with whatever that is. So I think that's 60. 50, 55, 60, yeah. So that's a 60 degree angle. So I'm now going to take this mitre and do a 60 degree angle across the face of it. Usually, as I said, you would cut first and then you would clean up the edge, but you can also do it this way, and I'm going to show you that right now. So now we had a really crisp 45 degree mitre, which as you can originally see was along there. Now I've taken it across at a 70 degree angle and at a 45 degree slant as well, which creates that. So you can see you can do some pretty awesome things with this sander, and I really love this feature. You can do that, you can do that. I'm just playing around and having a bit of fun now, to be honest, but I might do another one there if you want to create some really cool looking shapes. So here's a scrap piece that I ripped off of some drawers, and I thought I'd keep it to show you the versatility of the belt here. So let's say, for example, I just wanted to take this one bit off. You could do it on the disc quite happily, but you might get caught against the edge, which could be a bit dangerous. So in my opinion, it's much safer to do it on this and then square it up against the disc. So I'm now going to quickly show you how I do that, and then I'm also going to put some nice curves on this edge. I'm going to do a profile curve on there, and I'm probably going to do a profile curve on this bit of dovetail as well. So let me show you that now. So as you can see, you can do really nice curves. You can cut off all of these bits. So there you can see one of the existing, I think it's a pin. I'm not very good with what's a pin and what's a tail. Might have been a tail, I don't really know. But then yeah, you can round over bits, you can cut bits off, you can sand really nice curves. And as you can see, these belts are absolutely brilliant. They just rip through this material at a speed of knots. They're fantastic. And yeah, really, really like this sander. It's a great tool, and as you can see, you do get a lot of tear if you go ridiculously quick. I was just doing it for the purpose of the video, so I was going really fast. If you're actually going to make this into a project where you want an accurate curve, maybe take your time, slowly, nice, even movement. Don't suddenly go like that, because if you suddenly jolt to one side, you're not going to get an even curve. But yeah, so I'm just going to run you through a couple of features of this sander. So basically, you've got an abrasive belt here, which is a 25mm by a 760mm length belt. And then you have an abrasive disc, which is 125mm. And you have two dust extraction ports, which I spoke about earlier, which are two 45mm ports. And the weight of the sander is 7 kilograms. So I've printed off a couple of bits of accents to say about this sander. They say it is a small benchtop sander, which is perfect for toy and model making. I would agree with that, and I would also argue it's great for turners, for squaring up smaller bits of stock, 2x2 inch stock and things like that are really useful to square up on this. And you've got these fantastic sanding discs, which I absolutely love. These are the best sanding discs and belts I've ever used, and I really like them. So yeah. And I'm not sponsored to say any of this. This is all my own opinion, and I absolutely love the sander. If I could change anything about it, it would just be the difference between these screws and the Allen key bolts. That's the only thing I particularly don't like about the sander. So I think for about, whatever this is, 95 quid, I think it's a blooming good sander, and I absolutely love this sander. And for the money, I couldn't have asked for any better. As you can see, you can achieve really, really, really crisp lines. You can get really nice angles on this, and you can just really, really use the sander. So yeah, really happy with it. So for example, if I wanted to do something else, I could bring this back up to 90 degrees. If I take that out. So I could bring this back up to 90. Obviously you've got to check against your square. So yeah, like that. And then I could turn this back to 90 for squaring up turning stock. Thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. I absolutely love this sander, and I think it's a great bit of kit. I hope it's perhaps helped some of you if you're thinking about purchasing this sander. If you've got any questions about it, pop them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. Otherwise, take a look at Axminster's site if you're interested in purchasing it. I'll leave a link down below. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video.